Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking. This is going to be a bit of a different video today, but I guess I've done something similar with my Sorry You Theatre thing. Essentially, this is a thank you video to somebody who I saw for the first time today, and really helped me in a way that he probably will never know, because this video may not reach to him. Oh, my leg hurts. Anyway, it's a thank you to Stephen Fry. As I'm now legally allowed to tell you, Stephen Fry did a... As I'm now legally allowed to tell you, Stephen Fry did a guest lecture, conversation. He made an appearance at the drama school that I currently go to. If you know which drama school that one is. If you don't, then I'm not going to tell you. Essentially, he was talking about bits and pieces of his life and how he came across the arts and language and moments in his career, and of course, answering questions. I took a bunch of notes for this, but I'm going to do this off script because even though it seems counterintuitive given what he actually talked about in terms of writers such as myself, I think this is best, just coming from me, but not from up here, from Body Brain. You can't see this, I'm patting my stomach. I get a lot of comments from teachers that I think too much from the brain and that therefore I seem very detached, and I completely agree. But there are a few moments that I don't overthink and I don't, over process. And this was one of them. So yes, I did have a notebook. Yes, I was taking notes, but there were certain moments when I was just listening. Like anyone else, like it was just a friendly face that was telling me things that somehow I needed to hear. Which you wouldn't expect, especially from somebody, of course, who, even though I literally passed him after this, probably he has no idea who I am, and probably never will. But who knows? Maybe he will see this. You never know. But essentially, what he was talking about was things like how people seem to find excuses not to do things such as act or write, and that is, in terms of acting, it's within the nature of certain people to want to put themselves out there, and that things like mental health, for example, are what hold a lot of people back. I mean, I don't suffer from mental health personally. That was just an example that he gave relating to that topic. In terms of the writing side, however, and in terms of language, he says that it's not like music where you need to learn learn all this terminology and this language that is still completely alien to me. It's with language, you just use what you're born with, which he said was the ability to speak and but I think it goes deeper than that. It goes into your ability to actually process language in the first place. Contradicting what I said before, it's to do with the brain, and it's processing everything. Like, I'm talking to you now, and you're interpreting what I say in the way that I intended to say it. And that's essentially what he said to us, and it's perfectly true. It's something that everyone can do, but they find excuses not to actually do it. I'm not a person who seeks excuses. You all know perfectly well that I write a lot. a huge deal. Can I show you my my shelf? Actually, no. I'm gonna bring it to here. No, I'm not gonna do that because I pulled a muscle and I don't want to move. Okay, right. Turning the camera. There you go. That's all of my notebooks, hopefully in frame because I can't see anything. And yes, I have not made my bed. Whatever. I'm going to use it in probably a few hours. Who cares at this point? So, essentially, like I was saying, I'm not a person who seeks for excuses not to write. It's something that I enjoy, and I really want to get into publishing. Yes, I know I've published something already, but that was self-publishing. It's slightly different. I want to apply to actual publishing firms and see what they think of my work. But I have been scared. You know what? That's the best word. Go with the gut. I've been scared. I've always doubted myself in the terms of what I actually do and thinking that it won't be good enough because publishing firms are very scary places and people get rejections left, right and center. I would expect that anyway. It's like acting auditions. But somehow that feels slightly different to me. I always preempt the actual rejection itself, and I don't think that if there's several people far worthier than myself who go for the exact same thing after years and years of preparation, possibly at times. Heck, even successful authors who are successful now but weren't so in the past, those same books they tried to publish took them possibly even decades. If they struggle so much, then what is someone such as myself supposed to do? And that's when Stephen Fry said something, answering someone else's question. But it went something along these lines. Again, I'm not going to look at my notes. He said, people always have these self-doubts, like I said before. But, how do I even say this? This is what happens when you do a scriptless video. Yeah. So people have these self-doubts about themselves, and they say things like, "Oh, I could never tell a story that's meaningful to everyone, or to anyone in particular. Something that's beyond just what my friends would find relatable because they know me." There's things like I'm a combination of all these different authors, and I don't have my own writing style, my own identity. Something like, writings can be too short, too complex, beyond anything relatable. Or even, he gave this precise example, something like writing something that's like Harry Potter, but not. It's slightly different, and being afraid of putting that forward to the world. When he said all of those examples and followed it up with the rough words, sorry, my throat. He followed up with the rough words, "Who cares about that? If you're willing to share what you've got with the world, people will identify your voice, even if you yourself don't. Don't worry about writing for others. Write for you because you have to." When he followed up with those words, I froze. I just put my pen down, but if I had it in my hand, I would have dropped it. Because with those examples he gave, everything everything was if he was speaking directly to me. Those books that you saw up there, some of them are works that I think are too short. Some of them are works I think are too complex. Some of those works are things that I think are not combinations of different people that don't really sound like me. And even a couple of them are a story that's similar to Harry Potter. And it takes into account the fact that the Harry Potter books exist within its own universe. So somehow, absolutely everything that he said, even if he didn't have his face turned towards me when he said it, it was as if he was right in front of me, saying those words directly to me. At first I was mind blown. It was exactly what I had needed to hear from someone for years. Then I felt a bit disappointed because why did someone else have to tell me what I already wanted to believe was true in the first place? And then I was mind blown again. I didn't care. I didn't care. Someone had said it. Had it been me? No. But that's often the case. People say things before you do. In the arts, people transmit the same messages before you do. More often than not, that's what happens. But you know what? People still make art. People still do the same things others have done, but somehow we remember them for how original they are. At least the ones who indeed are original. And that's the best piece of advice that I have been given in recent years, possibly ever. I don't know. At the moment, as it just happened a few hours ago, it feels like it is. Again, that's me rationalizing. Let's just say that it's one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've ever received. And leave it at that. And yes, I know that great is quantifying the experience, but you know what? I'm going to show that I have something with that, and then I will be able to validate what I thought. It will take months, it will take years, may even take a couple of decades, who knows? But somehow I'm going to make that advice count, and then I'm going to come back to this video and probably once again thank the man who told that to me in the first place. I walked past him in the corridor, like I said before. He was talking to someone else, so I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. And then a couple of people from my course, shook his hand and spoke to him afterwards and whatever. And I regretted not saying that to him. I regretted not saying that directly to his face, because that might have been the one chance I ever had to speak directly to him. This video may never reach him, and I have to accept that, because I made the mistake in the moment not to actually go forward and actually tell him. Maybe I was scared again. In fact, you know what? I was, again. I was scared. And I'll regret that. I mean, I'll regret that for a while, then I'll realize, yeah, okay, it is what it is. But for now, here you go. Rant officially over. And Stephen Fry, should you by some miracle come across this video, thank you. You wonderful, wonderful man. And to everyone else, until next time, farewell.